welcome back to Hollow Acres Homestead. Today's video is a collaboration with Roots and Refuge Farm. Jess Sowards has invited everyone to share valuable homesteading information, and I think that this is just such a great idea. Now, I have spent days narrowing down my books to my top 8, and I started with 32. We have surpassed the age of technology and are in the beginning of the age of artificial intelligence. Finding real, tried and true information on a wide variety of topics or niches within homesteading is probably the most important thing. Before you jump headfirst into doing something new, it's just good advice and common sense that you do your research. Learn about what it is that you're interested in, and you need correct and honest information in order to do the thing properly. With artificial intelligence such as Chat GPT or Google's Bard, people are typing a prompt into the search engine, and without double checking the information, they're passing that information off as legitimate. Now, this can lead to inaccuracies in information, which could cause unforeseen amount of issues. Now, let's get into the 8 books that I have chosen to review. Each of these books I have read time and again. There's only one book on my list that I've only read all the way through once and then skimmed through to find what I need. So we're going to start with that book. Now, the reason that I'm starting with this book is because I think that it is extremely important to know how to fix things. Once you start homesteading, if you're wanting to move out to land, or even if you're doing it in the suburbs like we are, you're going to need to know how to fix stuff. And this book, though it is an older one, it was published in 1991, but the information is still completely valid. In this book, now, this book has a little bit of everything. Emergency repairs, it talks about hand tools, power tools, fasteners, adhesive, woodworking, metals and plastics, concrete and asphalt, masonry, an entire chapter on your house, plumbing, electricity, interiors, painting and wallpapers, exterior, home climate. I mean, it goes through a lot of stuff, starting here at hand tools, organizing a workshop. We're just skipping through pages here. So hand tools, power tools and how to use them. It really goes through everything. Like, if you do not know how to get started at, let's say, adulting, really, this is the perfect book for that. How to take care of your house, woodworking, all kinds of great stuff. They have a chapter on metals. Let's see here. I marked off the masonry section because this is where we're at. If you've been following our videos, you know that we are building an outdoor cooking space. So this information is extremely relevant to me right now. It's got a lot on masonry. Now, your house roofing joists. We're skipping more pages now. Electricity, interior repairs and improvement. Sanding hardwood floors. Painting. Not everybody knows how to paint. Exteriors. This is a chimney on the roof. Windows, doors. A wood burning stove. So if you were to get just one book on home repairs, I recommend that it be one of the Reader Digest books. A link for this book will be down below in the description. Now, the next book that we are going to be talking about is this big book of country living. It is by Abigail R. Gregring. I'm sorry, I butchered it. This is a Tractor Supply exclusive book. I have not yet looked on Amazon or other places, but you might be able to find this on Thrift Books. This book covers a lot of information, a bunch of different little niches or genres or whatever you want to call it inside of homesteading. Now, this book goes over gardening and preserving food, canning, fermenting. There's cheese making in here, information on chicken keeping, solar energy, hydroponics, beekeeping, and so much more. Right to the table of contents. We got a bunch on gardening, fermenting and preserving, energy, animals. Into gardening, bees, birds, butterflies, composting. Now, I am skipping pages, obviously. fruits and trees and look more information on that. Growing zones, soil, pH. I love this little chart here. Let's see. Greenhouses and hoop houses, season extension. Caring for your herb garden and harvesting herbs, compost piles, garden planning, choosing a site for your garden, watering, my bookmark, terracing. Now I bookmarked this page because if you know, we have a very steep incline in our garden and I was trying to figure out the best way to build on it. And of course I decided upon raised beds. Trees, fermenting, preserving, and more. And here we have a little bit of contents on what you're going to find in part 2. Charts for, this is fruits, more fruits, preserving, syrups. The whole back half of this book is how to use the foods that you're growing, how to preserve them safely. Fermenting. Cheese, a whole section on making cheese. Drying, dehydrating. Ooh, jerky. So this one says solar energy. Cool. When meals. Now we're in animals. Again, I am skipping a lot of pages here, but I'm giving you an overall gist of the book. Rabbits in the back. Sheeps and a glossary. A lot of valuable information in this book. The next books that I want to mention, I'm a little biased on, I'll be honest. Because I wrote and self-published both of these books. This is the Crash Course into Gardening set. We have book 1 and book 2. Book 1 is going to talk to you all about gardening. Here, the table of contents. There are technically 8 chapters. We're going to start with the introduction. What is gardening? Soil, water and fertilization, garden insects and pest control, a quick lesson on botany, seed starting, harvesting, maintaining your garden, and then the ending chapters of from gardening to homesteading. If you do not know how to garden, we're going to start you off from the very beginning. What is it? How to do it? Gardening by season, spring, summer, winter, fall. Vertical gardening, trellises and structures. Mulching, cultivating your land. Again, I am skipping pages. Here we have natural, organic fertilizers. Here we're talking garden insects and pest control. And then we're going to dive into botany. What is botany? Types of plants and how they're eaten and used. I love this part. We go into the plant families, and no, flowers aren't a family, but you know, flowers. Here we have the Scoville hot pepper scale. We're talking about peppers. Here we're talking about tomatoes. Seed starting indoors. Common seed starting issues. Starting seeds outdoors, hardening off. Purchasing plant starts and growing your own, what to look for. Succession planting. Companion planting. I've skipped a lot. We're back into maintaining your garden. And then we end the book here. Now this, I really do think, it took me 2.5 years to write both of these books, and I put a lot of time, energy, research, all the stuff into writing these books. So book 1's all about gardening. Here, book 2, From Seed to Harvest. This entire book is about how to grow plants from seed to harvest. Now here in the table of contents, we've got the introduction. And similarly to book 1, we're going to go over the plant families again. So like if you didn't read this book, you just wanted to know how to grow things, we're going to start off really easy. Then we're going to talk about types of plants and how they're eaten and used. And then we're into our 10 plant families. We have rooting vegetables, allium family, brassicas, the umbellifer and apache family, culinary and medicinal herbs, the legume family, the marrow family, the graname poaceae family, nightshade family, fruits, common garden flowers, and then we end the book. So we start talking about plants. We'll give you some basic knowledge on how to grow these plants. Now we're starting here with the rooting vegetables. Now carrots will take up 2 pages. And what I really like about this part, or book 2 anyway, what I really like about this is that, and I don't see it in many books, but I tell you exactly, I give you information on the plant that you're growing, how to grow it from seed, and how to harvest it. So we've got rooting vegetables. Now to the allium family, just garlics and onions. There's more the brassica family, your cool weather crops. Here's information and basically how to grow them. And then each page has their own information. Now we're at culinary medicinal herbs. Mint has 2 pages and a recipe here for mint tea. More herbs. Basil pesto recipe. Got the bay laurel tree. More herbs. Now we're in the legumes section. I did skip a page, 2 pages. Legume family. The marrow family, cucumbers and melons. Okra, loofahs. Winter squash, pumpkins, oats and corn. We've skipped into different families. Now we're in the nightshade. Tomatoes. And now we're in fruits and perennials. And common garden flowers. And then we end. Now I do believe very strongly in these books and the work that I put into them. The information is there, it's completely valid. I will leave a link for these as well. These are available only on Amazon at this time. And the next book I want to talk about is Mini Farming. This is by Brett L. Markham. Markham? It's probably not Markham, it's probably Markham. This is probably one of the first books that I bought on homesteading. Actually, my husband bought it for me. I really like how this book is laid out. There are 21 chapters. It seems really daunting, like a lot, but they are short chapters. We start with an overview of intensive agriculture and then how mini farming works for you. They go in raised beds, soil composition, compost, plant nutrition and depth time and yield, watering. Let's skip down, seed starting, raising chickens for eggs and meat, selling your produce and preserving the harvest and all this stuff. Talking about intensive agriculture. Why it's important, how mini farming works for you. Again, skipping pages. This is a very easy trellis, very easy DIY trellis. Look, natural fertilizers. We got a chart here of cover crops. Got a whole chapter on compost. And then plant nutrients, which is important and you do need to know if you're growing food. Time and yield, we're talking succession planting, when to grow certain crops, water and irrigation, crop proportions. This is a really good, in-depth, completely informational kind of book. It is a lot to get through. Selecting and seed saving, raising chickens for eggs, meat birds, and now harvesting the chickens, how to do it. It's a very in-depth how-to of butchering a chicken. And right here they talk about how to build a chicken plucker. Here they made one and put it on a drill. It's like a whole contraption they made. And now we're in preserving. There are recipes in here. Bread and butter pickles, dehydrating, and putting it all together. The index of tables, more useful information. Now I find this book to be extremely helpful because we do have a very small amount of land. We are in a suburban neighborhood and we can't do the farming or homesteading practices that people with land can do. Rotational grazing and free range chickens and all those things. So this really helps to narrow all of that in order to do it in a small space. All right, the next book that I want to talk about is this Smithsonian Encyclopedia of Garden Plants for every location. And I am including this one because this is purely information. It seems like all of these books are purely information, in fact. But here in this book, we open it to a picture of the United States with the plant hardiness zones. See, we are right about here, right about where that star is. Actually, we're more like down here. So we are 8A. Kind of 7B. 7B's up here, we're kind of down here. Now in the front of this book, it shows you how to read this book. All of the little keys, it's all here. Now we're gonna flip through quite a few pages here because this is a huge book. It really does talk about all the plants. And planting styles is where we're at right now. This goes really good with garden planning. What are you gonna plant? Where are you gonna put it? Does the plant you choose, does it go in the shade or the sun? Do you have a full sunny lot where you can put any plant that you want? Or do you have a shaded lot? Kind of like I do, where I had to build my garden, cut down the woods to do it. Most of what is in this book is ornamental type plants. Beautiful plants. Here's hostas. Eye-catching, eye-drawing plants. There are not really medicinal or edible plants in here. I do think there are a few. I have not memorized this book. It is far too big. I have read through it though. So much information. Now, of course, it is a little picture and a little bit of information, but it gets you started. So you can do more information, or more research rather, on the plants you're wanting to plant. Find all the information possible. And it ends with the hardiness map zone again. Now this would probably not be a book that you would be like your first book to pick up on all the plants. My husband got me this book because I just love plants and I want to look at the plants all the time, and I don't necessarily want to grow all the plants, but if I could learn about new things, I always love learning new things. Now that we've talked about the books on homesteading, the mini farming, the big country book of living, books on gardening, now we're going to talk about cooking. If you are going to grow a garden, you need to learn how to cook. I've had this book for quite some time. This is the America's Test Kitchen Cooking School book. I did lose the cover. It is a textbook on cooking. The America's Test Kitchen is a very famous, well, they have a school, they have a show, they have books, they have all kinds of stuff. They teach people how to cook. You know, we start with terminology and equipment. Again, skipping pages. And now how to cook. We got eggs Benedict and a bunch of different recipes. So in each section, like here's vegetables, gives you an overview, some vegetables that they're going to be talking about in here and preparing. They go completely in depth how to cook whatever it is that they're telling you how to cook. And then here, common mistakes, bad outcomes, and what you should do, how to fix it when you mess up. And then we've got the detailed recipes in the back of each of these sections. This literally is a textbook full of recipes, full of information. Cooking from scratch, buying meat, roasting meat, and more recipes. The classic holiday turkey. I think we get the idea here. It is a very thick and big scones cookbook. And now breads and pizzas. I have made, I think, every bread recipe that is in this book. And this is a book that I just keep going back to and back to. I mean, it has all of the recipes and it tells you exactly how to do it. And when you mess up, it tells you how to fix it. So this really is an all-in-one cooking textbook. Very thick, very heavy, great information. A link will be down below for this as well. We have finally made it to the end. I know this has been a very long video. Could you imagine if I did 32 books? Glad I'm only doing 8. Our last book, we are talking about the complete guide to pressure canning. This is from the canning diva, Diane Dervaux. I think I said that wrong. Deveriox. All of that is wrong. Now, as we can see here, I have a lot of these tagged or whatever they are. Tabbed? Are they tabbed? I use this book frequently, very, very frequently. Now, because this is the complete guide to pressure canning, it starts with canning fundamentals and the pressure canner's kitchen, like how to do it if you never have before. And then we have a bunch of chapters on all kinds of different recipes. starting with Canning 101, Canning Fundamentals. If you have never done canning, I highly recommend you completely read this all the way through. Skipping pages, pressure canners, kitchen, everything you need, talking about pressure canners. I skipped a page. Let's start here on, we're not really starting, we're finishing here. The first batches. Starting with green beans really is one of the easiest things to pressure can. My first thing that I canned was chicken stock. Canning tomatoes and vegetables. We've got a chart in here for tomatoes. Bunch of recipes. Ooh, those were stuck together. We love these baked beans. They are so good. Chicken stock and chicken broth. Yes, there's a difference. Vegetable broth. Borscht. I've never made that, I'll be honest with you. I've never even grown a beet. Now we're into poultry, meat, wild game, and fish. Barbecue pulled pork. Did you know you could can it? That's pretty cool, yeah? Here in the back, there are measurement conversion tables from Fahrenheit to Celsius. That's cool. US standard and metric, because you know, the US has to always feel like they're special. And the index. Now, a lot of people start your pressure canning adventures with like the Ball book of canning, which is really good and probably the most highly rated one. I don't know if I have that one. I didn't find it whenever I was doing the thing, so probably I checked it out from the library, read through it, did some things, and returned it. Whenever it comes to buying all of these books, they are very expensive. Try the libraries first. Go to any public library and request a book if they don't have it. Most of the time, they'll get it for you. The links for all of these books will be down below in the description. I will give links to Amazon, of which I am an affiliate, and thrift books, to which I'm not an affiliate, but I just love thrift books. I get a lot of my books from thrift books, I really do. I personally very rarely buy books brand new. I usually look for them used. I will get them brand new if it's a brand new book, right? If it just come out and I really want to read it, I'll buy it brand new. But a lot of times I will get used because used is just as good and cheaper, so it's better. All right, well, that was a whole lot of information that I just threw at you. My top 8 books. Wait a second. Now, I do realize that I just said that that was the last book. Bear with me, I forgot that I pulled this one out. I did not originally have this one on my list, but I decided to add it because this book is all about doing things as a family, activities that you can do together, so it's not just straight up information that can make you feel extremely overwhelmed whenever it's just thrown at you like that, okay? This is the Unplugged Family Activity Book. It is by Rachel Jepson Wolfe. Now, I really like this book, like I said, because it's a family activity book. And she breaks it up here into seasons. So things you can do in the spring, autumn, summer, winter. Obviously it goes like this. I read that wrong. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. We're in the spring now, basically just collecting pretty flowers in jars. Lilac soda syrup, that sounds cool. First aid balm. Got Springtime Flower Festival, we're skipping pages again. Dragonfly wings, rose petal honey. There's all kinds of fun things to do in each season. Look at that. Mud pies with dandelions. Making giant bubbles, we did these and it's so fun. Homemade applesauce, of course you could look in the other books, but kids enjoy this too. A gratitude tree. Baked apples, skipping pages again. Night vision flashlight. Homemade eggnog. Homemade eggnog. It's good, it really is. This is a good recipe. Maple snow. If it snows where you live, we're in the winter section now. Fun things to do in the winter. Winter bonfire. And ending the book. If you're looking for things to do that are going to keep the kids interested and also teach them something, this is a really, really good book for that. You guys can read the books together. You can do the fun things together. Get them to read it. Look, ice cream. Okay, this really is it. I'm really done now. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm also going to try to get the link to the playlist maybe for Jess's playlist, Roots and Refuge Farm. She's doing a playlist of all of the videos that people submit for this as the collaboration. So go through and watch those videos as well. Look up all of the books that people are recommending and reviewing. And hopefully you find something that is interesting and you learn something new. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Hollow Acres Homestead. We'll see you next time.